Hey everybody, welcome to the Coffee Comment. This is Mecca.
And Ryan.
We missed you guys.
We did.
We truly and honestly missed you guys. If we could literally make money, I mean it's not off the money, but at this point, in this day and age, kind of is. If we could make money doing this, we would so do this, and probably more days than just Sunday, but we got regular day jobs that we have to do throughout the week. And so we are happy to be here this Sunday to talk to you guys. This Sunday, it's, I'm going to say fun only because we really can go in, we can talk about it. But it's more of a serious topic this week. And we're going to be talking about daddy complex / daddy issues. And the effect that it has on us as women and the effect that it has on other females in America, because it's not just black, it's white, it's Indian, it's Asian.
It's just women in general.
It's women in general.
Women in general.
So before we start, I do want to say rest in peace, Bill Cunningham. He was a big part of New York, a big part of fashion. He didn't want to label himself as a fashion photographer, but that's what he was, a fashion photographer. And he was the epitome of streetwear. So, street style, sorry. Rest in peace, Mr. Bill Cunningham. So, Ryan, let's get to this topic of daddy issues.
Well, before we go into the topic, I also have to do a rest in peace to one of my friends from AIU. Tragic. It was just, I don't even want to talk about it, but it's a sad situation. So, Rashad, you will be missed, truly. Alrighty. Well, yeah, our topic tonight, we're usually more funny and upbeat. I mean, this is not going to be like something bad, but yeah, we're talking about the daddy complex, the daddy issues. And I went on my fabulous Google, because I love Googling, definitions and things and such. But the definition that Google gave, daddy complex, it's a group of unconscious associations or strong unconscious impulses which specifically pertains to the image or archetype of the father. These impulses may be either positive, admiring or seeking out older men figures, or negative, distrusting or fearful. And fathers are they say it's like that's your first intro to how a man is supposed to treat a woman, how you're supposed to be loved by a man. And there are two sides to this. There's either women and girls that have fathers in their lives, but there's no emotional anything. There's no connection there. And then the other side is the girls that grow up without the father in their lives. So they really don't get any form of that fatherly love and whatnot. I can say that myself, I'm on the side of having the father that's been in the picture but has not been present as far as, giving me or showing me the affection from a man's standpoint or how a woman should be treated by a man. And I was also on Madame Noir. My sister loves that site. Shout out to
great
my
site.
sister.
Support black business.
My sister swear by Madame Noir. But she had 5 signs of a woman who have these daddy issues. And some of them I've heard, multiple times over. I'm pretty sure you have too.
Yeah.
But it started out with she's a serial dater. That means that she can never be alone, basically.
Right.
And we all know those women, or we are those women.
Truthfully speaking, abandonment issues, that's where that comes from.
Exactly. She's sexually aggressive. That means that, I shouldn't have to explain that. Sexually aggressive means that, she's out there
promiscuous.
A little bit. A wee bit. What's another one? Oh, she needs constant reassurance of love or affection, which
I think that's honest, but I think that goes both ways with mom and dad.
Sometimes, yeah. But see what the other ones. Also, she only dates older men. I never got that complex.
Me neither.
I think that's kind of creepy.
That's totally creepy.
I think that's kind of creepy.
Totally creepy. Like, even to the point where I'm going to admit something. When I was really young, I did have an older boyfriend, and he was about 4 or 5 years older than me. And he lied about his age, but we still dated. I wouldn't even call that man daddy because that's just weird to me. Weird. It's just freaking weird. It's like, weird. I don't talk to my dad. Like, that whole thing is just weird.
And then lastly, she's jealous or overly protective. And I can see that. I mean, I personally have not been that type of woman. But in my experience with these daddy issues, I can say that dealing with my dad or the lack of affection there is, I can say that it definitely has reflected on my life as a young teenager up into my present, because I have a tendency to gravitate towards, in my teenage years, it was all bad boys. If you weren't a bad boy, I wasn't hearing you. I didn't understand that clean cut, nothing. It was just like, I loved the bad boys. And so that's what I attracted myself to. I mean, it ain't like I was out there having all types of sex, because I didn't lose my virginity till 18, but that's still kind of young. But nonetheless, I wasn't out there like 15, 16 doing that. And then in my adulthood, I still have a tendency to gravitate to guys that have some form of baggage. It's like, and it's so funny because in my head, I'm like, I don't want the drama. I don't want the drama. But then I seem to pick up the guys that have some form of baggage or
they mother didn't love them. They daddy didn't love them. They was raised by grandma. Grandmas do excellent jobs, but when it's just grandma and there's no grandpa, there's no nothing, that's where the baggage comes in.
So yeah, that was just my experience with that. And it's still, still definitely is present in my life. It's a hard cycle to break away from, because it's almost like the norm. It's like you're used to this type of behavior, so you don't know how to react to something totally opposite.
Right.
Because my thing when I'm with guys, I always have this complex of when guys is like, either they're at that really like you stage, and I'm like, okay, do you really like me? Or
so
what's going on? Because something ain't right. And the thing about it is I'm not a bad broad. But I just always question, like, okay, do you really like me? Okay, I don't think you do. So I'm going to go ahead and get my plan B because you're doing too much. I get really like, like sketchy, because it's like, because I don't know. I've never had that form of affection before. So I'm like very leery about letting either a guy in or actually believing that
they truly want to be.
They truly want to be with you.
Me, on the other hand, I had both of my parents up until the age of 11. And to me, in my mind, it was me and my two sisters and my mom and dad, and we were living in New Jersey and they're living in Georgia. And it was like the damn Huxtables. My mother was the ultimate housewife. She wasn't really a housewife because she did work. She made, majority of the money as well. But it was like I had two working class parents. We always had nice, never lived in a bad neighborhood. I always was like loved and adored. I was a daddy's girl. And then once I grew older to understand why my dad wasn't around, that's when it was a lot of turmoil, me being a teenager. But the sad part is I didn't really realize I had daddy issues until 2 years ago when me and my partner broke up, and I realized I went to therapy. I did, tried it out. I realized that I do have daddy issues because during my parents' divorce, I was being pulled two different ways. My mom was getting out of a 15, 16-year marriage, and so she was trying to discover herself. So me being the oldest sister, I had to be by myself a lot. My family is built and made full of women, and strong women at that, but we have a lot of women in our family. We barely have any men around, and the only guy that I really had around was my cousin, and he didn't really sit down and have serious talks with me. It was all laughing and joking and playing around, but I had a lot of different opinions from the women in my family, and I realized that I had that issues, like I said, 2 years ago, when I realized, like, I have that complex of sometimes, like, I can't be alone. When it comes to friends and family, I could probably put myself in a box and be introverted all day long. But once I get in that relationship, and when it's something serious, especially like my last relationship, I feel like you abandoned me, you left me, you know, you don't have no explanation why. And it goes back to when I found out my dad had an affair. Like, he was telling me all these dumbass excuses. Maybe I didn't understand because, you know, stay out of grown folks' business, and my parents were married, and my mom didn't necessarily tell me everything. You know, there's always two sides to a story, and obviously both of them had to do something that the marriage didn't work. It wasn't all on him. I understand that he did have an affair, but I'm like, he was always giving me dumbass excuses, and I'm looking like my mom was the perfect woman, you know, traveling and cooking for you and making sure family was always together. And now it's like, when I had a relationship, I never seen him do anything physical. I never heard anything where it was extreme. But in my relationship, when I was dating an older guy, it was abuse and it was manipulation, and I was young. And then now my last relationship with my ex-girlfriend is like, she comes from a dysfunctional family where she has two dads, but both of them was never really there. And I hear excuses from her, and I'm dealing with all this drama going on with her. So it's like, it really does affect the relationships you have. And then when you realize it, now it's to the point where it's like, okay, what do you do to fix it? How can you fix it? And I think what Ryan said was true, as far as right now it's kind of the norm in our generation, but I also see, like, my friends or the people, you know, maybe may as well be strangers or YouTubers, the people that are getting in relationships. This is why the millennials are so hard on finding the perfect person, because when we get married, we want to get married once, and we want to make sure that we stay married, and we want to make sure our kids have the perfect parent and role model. And it's not always, aunts and uncles and sisters and granny, everybody, they are important, but, your parents are there. The parents are who raise you. Those are who, have you in the home. And so we want to make sure that we have that perfect role model, because who wants to be scorned? Who wants to pass that down? Like, and you want to marry somebody that is willing to take on everything a relationship entails and a marriage entails, because as Ryan said, like, she had her dad, but how can you have your biological dad and you can have, your parents married and you still don't have that connection? Like, we want to make sure that our marriage is solid and that, we all are on one accord and that we're both in it for the long haul to teach our children this is what the role model is. It's not okay to be in a marriage and be in a relationship and get cheated on and have 5 baby mamas and, in and out the house, in and out of jail, and why my daddy paying attention to these kids and that and the third. So that's my story, and that's what really that's when I realized about 2 years ago that I had daddy issues. I don't like to be abandoned.
It's really. How they always saying, mothers are, the best things for little boys and things like that, and having that kind of connection and stuff like that. I just don't. It's like fathers. I don't know if they don't get it or what, or maybe the mamas need to talk to their husbands and say, you know what, you really need to be around your daughters more, and so that they don't have these complexes, because it really is tough growing up when you don't know what true love is. You don't understand it. All you understand is either half-ass love or fake love, or just non-existent, because I know that it has trickled down into me, because I'm very like, my guard is high in relationships. I'm like, I care, but I don't care too much. And when I do care for somebody, it's just like, all right, I'm ride or die with you.
Right. So loyal.
But the thing about it is, you're loyal to the wrong things.
Right.
You're loyal to these sucker MCs that ain't really in your head. You got this ideal of the guy that you want, but you stuck with the guy that you got. And it's like, he may have one trait that's on that list of quality of men. And it's just like, you just have to really just look at your situation. And like I said, it took me a while. I've kind of felt that I had the daddy issues, but you don't want to own it, because you're like, nah.
Girl, I really sat in that therapist room and I was like, oh shit, I got daddy issues. I call.
You don't want to own it, because it honestly, it makes you kind of, you don't want to be that, and you also makes you kind of sad, because you're just like, okay. But then on the flip side, you're relieved, because you're like, okay, now I understand why I picked the man that I do, why I'm acting the way that I act.
Right.
And daddies just need to be so present in their daughters' lives, because it really does do a number. And like, that's why we got the ratchets out there. That's why we got the thoughts out there. Right. These girls did not just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to be shaking my ass for cash, or I'm going to be sleeping with, you know, Dick, Tom, and Bobby, Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike. They didn't come out that way. It has to do with the home. It's like, either your dad was there and he just didn't show you any form of affection, and maybe because he didn't have that form of affection. It's just a domino effect. It's like, if your dad didn't catch that as a child, he does not know how to present it to his kid.
And meanwhile,
but then on the flip
mom
side,
is trying to teach him how to love.
Right, but then on the flip side, you have those guys like my brother. My brother is the total opposite. He's a lovey-dovey, but then again, my mom spoiled his ass. But he's a lovey-dovey type person.
But see, that's where I get it from. My dad is a straight hood, I'm from North Street guy. So his whole thing was, I'm daddy's girl, I'm daddy's princess, I'm daddy's queen. But it was also, keep your eyes open. People out here to scam you, people out here to do you wrong type. And my mom, even after their divorce, she's the one that's always been affectionate with us. She's the one who's always been like, you know, there's still good men out there. Granted, I date women now, but she believes in, you know, love. And she's like, I'm a love type of person. You know, guard your heart, and it's okay to be in love. And she wants us to get in relationships and stuff. And my dad is just like, let him approach you. Like, I'm gonna crack his face. Like, you don't think nobody has good intentions. So it's like, I have a mixture of both, but I'm more towards my mom's side. And then being like my mom, like so sensitive, so emotional, so lovey-dovey, I get blinded by what Ryan says, staying in that situation, trying to see the good in people, trying to, there's hope.
You always want to get that you want to see that potential. And it's funny, it's like, you see the potential of that person in your head, but honestly, if that person ain't got that damn potential, they don't want the potential, they don't want to try to do nothing, but in your head you see it. That's because that's not the person that you're supposed to be with. The person that you got, you know, visualized in your head has not approached you yet. You like, this guy right here, this bum bitch, he got potential. But in actuality, he really ain't got shit. He ain't about to do shit. And if he is going to do shit, it probably ain't going to be with you. So let him do whatever he's going to do with the next person. But it's funny that you said something about princess and daddy's girl, because that's another thing that they said. Those are like little key words or something like that. They were saying in the articles that I was reading that some girls get that mentality in their head because they've heard it so much with their daddies, like, oh, you're daddy's princess, daddy's girl, whatever, like that, and they feel like they're entitled to
that's
that
what I was gonna say.
When they get into these relationships.
My homegirl in my head, shout out to Sister Celibacy. If anybody is a YouTube fiend like I am, Sister Celibacy, she talked about this issue and it's good. And why I said that is because she said, she had a stepdad that was around and he always said the same thing, daddy's girl, daddy's queen, whatever the case is. She made a good point to say, when I became a teenager, when I became old enough to date and work, I was like that. Nigga, my daddy don't treat me like this. How you gonna treat me this way? Or, how you can't afford this for me. If my daddy could afford it, you can't, comparing your recent relationship and your, relationship with your dad. So that's kind of how I felt too. Like, well, my parents spoiled me, so you gotta come correct. But like I said, I always had my mom in me when I come to, well, this person don't have as much as I do or didn't have as much as I do, like Ryan said, attracting people that come with baggage. So I'm like, I never judge anybody. I never look down, but...
Same here.
I never look down on the situation, but I'm just like, okay, we're going to make this work. We're going to make it happen. Then you start settling.
Because you start being Captain Save-A-Ho.
Right.
And I mean, when you say Captain Save-A-Ho, that means save a dude, just Captain Save-A-Ho. Y'all know what that means. You're trying to save somebody that doesn't necessarily want to be saved at the present time or just doesn't want to be saved at all. So I think me and you got that problem. We want to try to help. We want to help somebody. But that's just a mother thing. I think that's more of a mothering.
Yeah, it is. Because like I said, I totally believe I get it from my grandmother and my mother. Like I said, so a family full of women. And since little, we've taken people in. My grandma's taken people in. She used to have, cousins and uncles and all types of people, that were close in family that she trusted, of course, living with us. And my mom always had people coming in and helping us out and, all that. So I come from that. Like, I don't know neither. I can't really be hard. Right now I'm teaching a hard ass lesson. And like I said on my Facebook, if you guys follow me on Facebook, I now know the meaning of tough love, but you cannot let them see you sweat and you got to stand your ground. And if they don't get it at the end, then they just don't get it. And, that's another crutch that we have with the whole daddy complex. Because we see our parents stick it out, whether your parents are together for a long time and not married or married, we see them trying to help their mate. And quite honestly, I'm about to be 25, but guess what? I'm tired of trying to raise another grown person.
Ooh.
There's nothing that I can... I'm starting to realize that as an adult, there's nothing that I can do to help your problems because shade no shade, if y'all not going to sit down in therapy and go talk about it or go to somebody's chapel or whatever church or talk to Jesus,
baby Jesus,
there's nothing I can do. And it's only but so much sticking out I'm going to do.
Right.
Because you're not showing me that you want to fix it.
You had to give a little shout out to
Mama.
to
Tamita Joe Morris.
Mama Morris.
And Diane, shout out to you guys for interacting with us this Sunday.
We love that. That's awesome. But yeah, it's just having your dads around being physically present is just so important. Not just in boys' lives. It really does affect how women. how we are developed. Because it's hard to actually get it out your head. You've been doing this, like, for me, 36 years. I'm like, it's like, I'm just so...
And like you said, people don't get it, and I'm not trying to put my sis out there, but I do have, a few people in California that I still connect with, and I am the godparents of their children, or, play aunts to their children, and it seems like everything is golden, and then you have these kids and all of a sudden shit just go downhill. Your 3-year-old daughter is watching this. They're seeing everything that's going on. So it's like you have to be present, even on both sides of the men and women. Because I always say I have an issue with, there's nothing wrong with having men in your life, and there's nothing wrong with teaching your boys. But guess what? All of these men, the reason why we have these daddy issues is because of how their father may have or may not have raised them. And they're getting raised to don't cry, don't be affectionate. You know, it's not okay for you to say how you feel. You weak if you do that. And it's like, no, dude, you need to prepare him to be somebody's, father one day. You need to prepare him to be somebody's husband and somebody's mentor, and let them, because they have to pass that on. They have to pass on to their son and daughters. This is how somebody's supposed to love you. This is, a hug is okay. A tear is okay. If you fall, get back up. And I feel like they don't, especially this generation. And that's not bashing. That's just truth.
Right. But, yeah, just having a dad in your life, it really, physically present, even the ones that are not there, or even the ones that are there, I should say, just being present and teaching your daughters, this is how a man should be. This is what you should be expecting. And if you don't get this, you need to move on to a guy that's actually going to treat you like the queen, the absolute best, the person that you are.
Right.
But hopefully we hit some topics and
right.
or
some
some
we made sense. We
put
everything
to help
together.
Some people out. I mean, some women out, just to have them. Some women don't even know that they have the daddy issues until they're like actually hear it. They're like, wait a minute, I do that. So hopefully that this conversation that we had did bring light to some women and have them sit back and reflect, and hopefully it'll help somebody just sit back and be like, okay, well, I've been living this type of life and I didn't know I had these issues, and now that I do, I'm gonna try to fix it or turn it around. Just for yourself, or just for, hell, if you have a daughter,
right, for your children.
Yeah, for your children. So hopefully our chit chat helped somebody out, or that's what we want to do. And if you have any more comments or anything, just because we're going off in a few minutes, you can always leave comments on the Instagram page, the Coffee Comment,
the Facebook page.
You leave it on the Facebook. Well,
Glitter Coffee and Things Facebook. My personal Facebook, Mecca Morris.
And just leave a comment, and we could still, chat about it, and hell, you might have some tips to give to us.
Because like I said, after talking about this issue and after you realize the issue, honestly speaking, what do you do after that? What do you do? And like I said, Sister Celibacy said, you try to focus so much on having daddy issues or whatever, and you don't really realize that you have help around you have support around you, but it is still a big part that's missing. And like I said, cousins and uncles and everything is great, but you become close and you're around your father, or at least you should be around your father more than those other men. So it is important to start at home, talk to your daughters, show them the right way.
Hug your daughters. Don't scare them.
Right.
But, just, take them out, spend time with them. It's not like, just spend time. When you spend time, that's how you show. And we do pick up on that, and we know that, okay, this is how it should be. So just spend time with your daughters, give them that talk about boys and everything. Just be a very, doing father, right? Be there. But we're coming to an end. We are actually, next week's show is going to be a series, so it might be covering a couple of weeks. But we're going into a relationship series. Both of us have dealt with and are dealing with relationship issues. So we're going to have a relationship series. So go to our Instagram, follow our Instagram, the Coffee Comment, to see what we're going to be talking about next week. But like I said, it's going to be a series, so it might be like a 4-week thing or a 2-week thing, however, but it is a series. So go to the Instagram page, the Coffee Comment, follow, leave comments, chat with us.
Let us know if you want to join in on the discussion.
The actual podcast where we, broadcast live. So
see you guys.
See ya.
Bye.